Good afternoon, John Edwards, Todd Schumacher, inside the high school sports caravan. This week, Todd, we're inside the Bud Dome, which is the practice facility for Lutheran South. Our game of the week is MICDS and Lutheran South, and the Bud Dome, what a complex here. 88,000 square feet of a facility, and Todd, this week's game should be a really good one between two schools that have a lot of tradition versus each other. Lutheran South been on the bad side of the football for many years, though.
Yeah, for a lot of years, MICDS always a storied program. They always have success, but they've stumbled out of the blocks 0-2 so far this year. But it's one of those things that, you know, it's a conference game, and anything can happen when these two match up.
This year, MICDS 0-2, as Todd mentioned, two games that have been losses for them in scores within less than 10 points, and offensively they've been challenged early on.
Yeah, they really have, and I think it comes down to there's not a lot of weapons there to go to, and you try to spread things out, but you got to have some firepower, and this year the Rams just don't have as much as they typically have in the cupboard.
On the other side of the football for Lutheran South got off to a big win week 1 against Roosevelt. They won 53-0. And then last week versus Soldan had to squeak one out, in which Cody Schrader touched the ball more than 30 times, caught a few passes for this team, really showing his versatility.
Yeah, 7 total touchdowns, or 7 touchdowns. He's even, like you said, even thrown for one. And he is really the offense for, you know, the Lancers. And I think that's the thing, is you have to say how, you know, it's incredible how durable of a back he is. When he can take it 20, 30 times a game, that wears down an opposing defense, and that's what MICDS is going to have to deal with. He's going to be coming in at them full speed the whole game. We're
expecting a good one Friday night at Lutheran South. Last week, though, Todd, we had some technical difficulties up at Francis Howell. We apologize to our friends at Eureka and Francis Howell for that technical issue. We have it resolved for this week, so we're good to go. But in Class 6, not really a big shakeup when it comes to the teams at the top. CBC gets a big win over CBC of Memphis, but this week CBC get East St. Louis over in East St. Louis.
Man, that's going to be a great one. And we don't see East St. Louis play a lot of Missouri teams. You know, you've got to go back to like Damian Nash when he was at Riverview Gardens and they went over and played East St. Louis. It doesn't happen very often, and this is a premium matchup, because you have to say East St. Louis is still hungry after not being able to get into the playoffs last year due to the strike.
Kirkwood loses week 1 to Chaminade, but they pick up a win against Vianney 36-14.
That was a close one, though, until the end, and Vianney's a team that's going to cause some ripples in the MCC, but Kirkwood, nice rebound for them, and then they stay around in the rankings.
SLU High gets another win for Coach Cornfield his final season. They advanced to 2-0 in Class 6. So really the teams that we know in Class 6 that have been within the top 10 pretty much remain the same. Chaminade picked up a huge win over Belleville East, 49-7, and then you look down at the rest of Class 5. Fort Zumwalt North loses to Zumi West, and really in a classic battle between those two schools.
Yeah, kind of a surprise there, right? You know, Fort Zumwalt North really in the last couple of years done very well in the postseason, going very deep, but you know, like you say, two Zumwalts clash, anything can happen.
We talked about it last week. We'll talk about it again this week. How about St. Dominic's? They pick up a win in week 1. Last week in week 2, they go over to Westminster on Saturday and pick up another win on the road.
Yeah, so that's 2. First, they knock off the top-ranked team in the state, and then they knock off another state-ranked team, and that really says that they've got something clicking here, and they're getting some well-deserved recognition.
When we have to talk about it, much amazed to our friend Corey Riggs down in Springfield, but Webb City lost again, unfortunately.
Oh man, they lose to Carthage, you know, a school that's in Class 5, a class above them, but it just seems like, man, you know, we didn't see this coming. Maybe against Carl Junction, because Carl Junction had played them so well in the semifinals last year, but Carthage down. They made it to the state, you know, deep into the state playoffs last year, but they were not the team this year that they were last year. So Webb City, kind of, you scratch your head, especially if you're fans of the Cardinals, and say, how are things going to pan out as the season goes along?
Todd and I will be at Lutheran South on Friday night for MICDS and Lutheran South. We're excited to be there, and we look forward to seeing you here on Inside the High School Sports Caravan.